right, welcome back. This week I want to respond to some feedback and a question I got from two of my most enthusiastic and supportive backers who I saw this past weekend. So the point of feedback was, hey, we really loved the videos with all the math in it. We should have more videos with math. So I'll see what I can do in the future, but I will do a little bit of math in this video, so it's going to be much simpler than last time, but hopefully good. The question that came in was, I thought, a good question. One of the backers said, hey, as a Patreon campaign supporter, I would love to know how the funds that we're contributing are helping you meet your goals for the project. So I'm going to speak to that a little bit here. And I thought the best way to do it was to actually talk some real numbers so that we can see what funds are coming in and what the gaps are between those funds and some of the goals that I have in mind, one in particular. So if you look at my Patreon page right now, at least last I checked, I have 8 backers, and they are contributing a total of about $28 per insider's release. Okay, so every insider's release I put out, 28 bucks comes in. So now, if we look at the insiders releases to date or planned, I think there's been 5, right? There was a live video from the Drowning in Sky concert, 2 new songs that were released, roughs, and then just recently a rough of an Old North song was released just this month. And I have another North one coming up for next month, which I'll talk about in a future video. So let's say we have 5 insiders releases, and there'll be more coming after the new year as well, but just say we have 5 that we know of for sure that'll be locked in by the end of the year. Okay, so if we do the math here, it says that by the end of the calendar year, we'll have $140 in Patreon funds available from these insiders releases, right? So if you look at my Patreon introduction video, and for those of you who haven't seen it, I'll put a link here to that. That talks about how these funds get divided, right? 10% goes back into Patreon, 40% goes to funding new projects and new creative activities, so that's really the 40% we're talking about. 40% goes to covering the cost of Drowning in Sky, which is a recording that's already completed, and that was the North album from 2008. And 10% is what I call the Share the Love portion, where I take a fraction of my Patreon funds and send them out to other artists on Patreon to share the love. So, okay, how is this helping the goals of the project? Well, this 10% is sort of the cost of doing business, right? We're helping to keep Patreon in business, which is cool because they're a cool website, and obviously covering the credit card fees and stuff that enable me to collect these funds in the first place. So I think we're good there. Drowning in Sky, it's a past project, but obviously was a huge musical accomplishment for me and the other members of North. So I like to hope that that benefit is obvious. And this 10%, I mean, okay, I would hope as a Patreon contributor that I'm just going to hope that you're okay with sharing the love, because I like to think that for every artist that you know about, there are tons of artists that you don't know about who are also great. So I look for the opportunity to kind of share the love there. So this 40% though, this is the 40% that we can put into new activities and getting new things out there. So if you do the math here, I think it comes out to 56 bucks of this 140 is available for new projects. So this is, and obviously it's going to continue growing after the new year with every insider's release. We're going to be putting another 40% of that $28 into the bucket. So the main project that I had in mind as a possible, public release that needed funding to happen was, if you recall back in season 1, I did a video on the Blueprint, which was an experimental recording that I did back in 1995. I would love to do a 20th anniversary remaster of that recording. So that is the Blueprint 20th anniversary remaster. So I have looked into the cost of doing that remaster, and I think that even if I keep the cost pretty minimal, it's probably going to run me between $250 and $350 to get that material remastered. And the artwork and stuff I all have, and I can put that out myself. But just the audio transfer and remastering is probably going to run me somewhere in that neighborhood. So as you can see, there's kind of a gap there. So One of the things that I want to make sure is clear, though, is that this is just one project that I had in mind. You know, it's the 20th anniversary of the first North recording ever. I actually haven't heard it myself in probably over a decade. So I would love to remaster that stuff and put it out there, especially for the North fans, and really show them kind of how the project started. But as a Patreon supporter, one of the benefits you get is you get input into how this money gets spent, right? You may have some ideas on this. You may say, hey, look, you know, I'd rather you save up this money for doing a full studio production of a newer song, or I'd rather you take the money you have now and try to remaster just one of the songs from that recording instead of waiting until we have enough money to do the whole thing. Because that, I mean, at one Insider's release a month, that'll take a year or way more, actually, to add up to that amount of money. So if you're a Patreon supporter, or really even if you're not, but especially for the Patreon supporters, I would love your input on where you'd like to see these funds go as they grow. And they will grow, you know, a little bit more as we go every month into 2016. So if you have thoughts on that, if you have feedback on it, I'd love to hear it. But basically, this is sort of the financial status of where the Patreon campaign is right now. And this is the money available to kind of dump into new products for the project. So any thoughts you have on that would be appreciated. Thanks much, and talk to you next week. Okay, this week I want to hit you with some more discovery from my adventures in Bandcamp, where I wander out onto the internet and try to find random stuff. Every once in a while I come upon an artist that isn't necessarily doing something groundbreaking or earth-shattering or, you know, bending my mind in new ways about music, but is just doing something that catches my ear because it's cool or it's beautiful or interesting. And this week's artist falls into that category. Her name is Anna Robinson. I believe she's based somewhere in the American Midwest, I think maybe South Dakota. And she actually has a few different recordings online on her website. I actually haven't had a chance to check out some of the other ones. But the one that I had stumbled upon was this short EP of a cappella music. And it's called Listen, Taizé Style Meditations. And what this appears to be based on is almost a modern day kind of advanced version of Gregorian chant in a way. So it's a spiritually based music where you take a very short concept or prayer or mantra in a way, and you sing it in repetition. But then what she does is she actually layers it in her recordings, where she establishes the initial mantra and then adds harmonies to it, adds counterpoints to it. She kind of constructs it and, you know, gives it a little form line with some ebbs and flows, and then deconstructs it at the end. And it's actually a form of prayer. So it's really very beautiful. You know, again, not doing anything that's, you know, sort of way off the map, but just really something that caught my ear. The link that I'm going to put below is to the lead track on this EP, which I think is one of the most beautiful ones. And I do look forward to kind of checking out the rest of her music too, and seeing what else she's got out there. But I just wanted to share this with you because I thought it was kind of a beautiful little piece of music. I hope you enjoy it.